Everyone needs a Randy in your life. Every person I know speaks highly of Randy. He had one of the most best reputations ever. He's incredibly successful, very rich man. He's done very well. He never brags, he never boasts. He's achieved a lot in this world. He's got it all. But his temperament and personality is so understated, is so humble, and it's sort of refreshing in this world of cameras and social media. And your brand is really amazing because it was so word of mouth. It was so old school in nature, and there was so much trust in it.
Worked for a large corporation. It's an Alabama group, multi-billion-dollar corporation, lots of entities, stuff like that. I started noticing the leaders, good people, good business. I would listen to them. I would intently watch them and what they said and how did they carry out their actions, how intentional they were, whether it's an employee, the janitor. I want to emulate that.
When I first came to Coeur d'Alene and got into business, Randy was one of the first people that I essentially hired. He was insuring the hospital that my uncle was a CEO at. I went right to a guy that had a lot of power here locally in Coeur d'Alene. We have a 65,000 square foot building. Someone drives through the center of our building with a truck trying to rob our jewelry store. My very next phone call to Randy, 3 a.m. He answers the phone, tells me, this is what you're supposed to do. Calm down. You'll be all right. That process went seamless. A different time after we'd closed down, we got a call from our store manager. He said the store got robbed. The retail value of what was stolen was easily $1 million. I call Randy. We start going through the process, but we realized we are uninsurable. We made such a crucial mistake in the close down process. I remember him at some point saying, it doesn't matter what it's going to take. We're going to make you whole. Right when it mattered most, Randy came through. He got these guys to cut us a check and he made us whole. A lady that touched our table was on a 4-wheel dolly and it hit her foot and broke her foot and she sued us. $2 million we lost, but it didn't affect us because Randy took the hit, not us. All the ways over the years we've gotten screwed over, turned into wins, but it's because of him. If you do not have a guy like Randy in your life, you're not doing business. The people that protect your assets. If you don't like your insurance agent, if he's screwing you over, cancel your insurance and bring it all to this guy right here. You can't go wrong. What's up, you guys? Eric Rock here, man on a mission. We got Randy Oakes in the house today. This is going to be a cool interview. Randy's someone I've admired for many, many years. I've worked with Randy for, 15 years now?
Yeah. 15.
It's cool to bring people that are in my infrastructure and that have served me so amazingly for so long into these types of conversations. Randy is in the insurance world, in the construction world, serial entrepreneur, been an entrepreneur for most of his life.
Yes.
But most people know Randy don't know that his childhood was pretty tough, and he went through some really tough circumstances. So I think really today, Randy, before we sort of get into business and a lot of the topics that I know we normally love to talk about, it'd be cool to sort of like spotlight like how your start was in life and start to unpack the gold from there.
Yeah,
if you don't mind.
Eric, thank you.
Thanks, brother.
So, to unpack, I had a genetic defect in my left eye. And when I became aware of that as a kid growing up, I knew. So it started with a negative process in my life of just defective. And not that the kids were mean to me or anything like that, but I knew it. And so as soon as I realized that.
How old were you?
I probably realized it about 6, 7, 8 years old.
You had it since birth too?
Yeah, it was birth defect. And so that negative process started coming into my life. I would create scenarios where I was very shy. I didn't have confidence. I thought people were looking at me constantly, differently than the rest of them. And, I found mechanisms to get around it, but I never dealt with the true feeling of that. Yeah. So I kind of grew up through life, and I found my way somewhat out of it with sports. Pretty decent athlete, naturally came to me. I could play sports. I could get my social. I had friendships, stuff like that. But it always carried with me. And, I'm going to be honest, till I was probably 40. It took that long. And
wow.
So there's lots of things that have happened over life. My family was a good family. I don't know my dad. I shouldn't say that. I remember one incident with my dad going to a baseball game. He couldn't find it in his VW Beetle. That's the last time I saw him and stuff. And I remember being very disappointed, being dropped off. And to be honest, I think I kind of blocked out everything else.
Yeah.
So my stepdad came in, great guy, took on our family, was good to me, gave me a lot of work ethic, I would say. So, I don't know if I'm much different than most kids growing up. You go through certain things and things are tough. The one thing that probably held me back is I couldn't get out of it. And feeling that I'm not the same, caused a lot of issues as I grew up.
Sure. Well, you know what's cool is, because I've known you so long and I admire you. Randy's one of the people, just for our audience that doesn't know, he's one of the people that I've always looked up to. When I first came to Coeur d'Alene and got into business, Randy was one of the first people that I essentially hired. We needed to be insured. We're running a real business now. There's liabilities everywhere. And I hired Randy, and it came from sort of a very strong referral. He was insuring the hospital that my uncle was a CEO at. And so it was a no-brainer. I don't know anyone. They introduced me, but it was cool that I went right to a guy that had a lot of power here locally in Coeur d'Alene. Randy had some of the most influential relationships in all of town. Political relationships. He had alliances with every CEO in the marketplace. Strong, powerful brands and businesses. Randy was always that guy behind the scenes. And the more I got to know him, you would see him at every event. You would see him at every charity event. He sits on countless boards. Huge in philanthropy. He would always start pulling me into his world and just give a little background and perspective from my angle. And one of the things that was apparent was Randy was one of those guys who was going to be a lifelong friend of me, like a best friend type. I didn't really know many people when I really made this leap into business. But Randy was just such a rock solid character. And it's funny, I could speak on this. I'm probably going to naturally speak on this more throughout this podcast episode. But I would say everyone needs a Randy in your life. You really do. There's a handful of people you have to have in your life, and you need to have a Randy in your life. We'll get into some of the stories, Randy, of why you need a Randy in your life, why Eric Rock needs a Randy Oakes in your life. But for Randy Oakes, I just want to land this point really well is every person I know speaks highly of Randy. He had one of the most best reputations ever. He's incredibly successful, very rich man. He's done very well. He never brags. He never boasts. He's achieved a lot in this world, a lot of powerful relationships, strong alliances, all that. He's got it all. But his temperament and personality is so understated, is so humble, and it's sort of refreshing in this world of cameras and social media and in-your-face brands. Your brand is really amazing because it was so word of mouth. It was so old school in nature, and there was so much trust in it. And I never in a million years would have imagined why you need a personal relationship like that you do business with until certain things happened to me. But it taught me a lot about Randy. So hearing now about your childhood and about sort of like something like that for a little kid is big. Yeah. Then your dad walks out on you. Yeah. It really starts actually for me personally, and just giving this perspective to the audience as well, it starts helping me align a lot of why you are the way that you are. Because I think there's a little boy or little girl that's trapped in every single person out there. And they connect you to who you are today. And likely it's still living, that little boy is still living inside you. Oh, yeah. And it's how you handled those tough circumstances. It's how you handled the eye situation, the deformity. Like we can all imagine who people who never had to go through that, but what that could feel like. Yeah. And but somehow, from my perspective, you've used it as a superpower later in life. I think we'll probably connect that bridge, but because you're so good at what you do, you're so engaging, you're so where your feet are. People always feel heard around you, and you are always put other people first. I've never seen anyone that is so good at making sure that someone else wins first. And we got so many stories, personal stories that I could share about Randy, like so many, but this is how close we are. But it's really great to sort of give that sort of landing for you a little bit.
Thank you.
Yeah, keep going, Randy, because I know that you had some tough years. I know you overcame a lot of tough circumstances that were there before you started achieving a lot of success.
Yeah. Probably a typical teenage life. I had good friends through sports, stuff like that. Still had low confidence. Went through colleges. Wasn't really mature enough to do that. I didn't finish my degree until I was 30. It took some maturity years and just working.
So what were you doing in college?
So I went there for business, played some sports, got kicked out.
Get in
failed.
trouble.
Yeah. Had a anger stage, quite a few red cards where I got asked to leave the team. Red cards when you get in fights on the field.
So you turn in from a kid that was sort of like not bullied, but almost like temperamentally, you were really protective, as if you were.
Yes.
And then that somehow turned to aggression.
Yeah. Every attack was personal.
Right.
It was so personal.
Yeah. So your armor, your shield was to go out and be a fighter.
Yeah. Be a warrior.
Yeah.
Just fight.
But really, it was like kind of a racket. Would you say?
Absolute racket. It was all internal. I placed everything externally at that part of my life. It was everyone else's fault. It's not me, because I knew my heart. I'm a good person. It's them.
Sure.
And stuff. And so, you kind of know my story a little. About 40, I started developing that of re-looking in, probably 30s. So I did the whole college thing. I finally finished through Gonzaga in 2000, which probably one of the proudest moments, because I had determination. I overcame obstacles to be at that school. Be honest, how I got let in at that point was, for me, it was a God thing. It was faith. It was something happened that he knew I needed that. Worked for a large corporation.
So was this
coming out of that?
Was this the billionaire that you ended up working for? Or was there?
So it's an Alabama group. Yeah. So it's a multi-billion-dollar corporation, lots of entities, stuff like that. And I really credit that one to, I first started getting my first mentors. I started noticing the leaders, how they...
What was the guy's name that ran the company that you worked for?
Bear Bryant Jr.
Bear Bryant.
Yes.
So he was one of your first big mentors, because you had personal access to him?
So I only met him twice in my whole career, but the people he had working for him were incredible.
Okay.
Just good people, good business. And it was so diverse that it gave me kind of a taste.
Yeah.
Not that I was in every division, but I would listen to them. And I would intently watch them and what they said and how did they carry out their actions. How intentional they were, whether it's an employee, the janitor, or the next one in level.
Right.
And that's where I started developing, like, there's something here.
Sure.
I want to emulate that. I want to be those people. And so I took the best out of each. And it was a large corporation, so I got to run through quite a few people. And that started my development.
Interesting.
And, from there, I took a leap of faith, getting into the insurance world. A friend of mine that got me out of 20-year corporate life and went into insurance. Green, knew nothing. And about this mentor, I have a lot of respect for him. It didn't end well for us, but I have a lot of respect for him because he taught me not only some of the good stuff he had, but some of the things that I looked at and just went, I don't want to do that.
Sure.
I don't want to be that. I don't want to treat people like this.
Well, I think you're giving some powerful keys away.
Yeah.
You said something a minute ago I thought was really good, just to land for people that are trying to pull the most value out of the story. But you said you were emulating all the people around you that were valuable, essentially.
Yes.
From people that kind of played mentor or kind of positioned themselves in that role as they had a lot of value to give. Yeah. You watched them, studied them, emulated them, absorbed their energy, their courage, their self-belief. I just think that's really good. And I've been saying this a lot lately, that I think who I am now is a collection of the greatest men and women I've ever been around that had an impact on me. And I was able to sort of absorb part of their language, part of the way they saw the world, part of their philosophy. Like, we always want to say, like I'm self-made. Yeah. And, I always throw a stone in that and well, it's not really true. Yeah. But if I would have continued to going down the path that I was on when I was in my bad years, hanging around bad people, if I would have never escaped it and figured out how to get around high-value people that offer the world a lot of value, I would have been a collection of those people. Yeah. But because I was able to pull away and sort of open myself up to people of value, including you, I was able to sort of absorb different parts of different people, still in my authentic way. It's not like I'm like, copying everything. But even if you are, at the end of the day, like, that's kind of how it works.
Still helps you.
Yeah.
Until you develop your own.
Well, do you think mentor is the most important thing in the process of growing and scaling? Like who you surround yourself with at the very least?
Absolutely.
Is that the number one?
Number one by far. Who are you with? Who are you emulating? Yeah. Who are you trying to learn from?
Right.
It's not always good either, but you take the positives out of it. I've had a lot of bad ones, relationships where you just go, I don't want to go down that road. I don't want to be that person. You hope the best for them.
Sure.
They come out of it. You try to help them. Yeah. Sometimes they take it. Sometimes they don't.
Well, we've seen this before, me and you, where we have a common friend. We don't need to name names. It doesn't really matter. And these are titans. They really are just titans of humans. But there's a lot of ways they operate and they live that, like, I just don't want to be like that.
Yes.
Like, so if that's what it takes to get that, like, I'm okay maybe being on this level.
Yeah.
Because I don't, but the truth is you don't have to. There's so many different ways to win. And again, like, even with fitness as an example, like, if I'm a billionaire and unhealthy, like, I'm good. I'd rather be poor and fit with health. Yeah. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, so you could pick your standards throughout the different types of people you come in. There still is ownership on your parts. But at the end of the day, like, I do think you're right.
Yeah. You got to develop it too. Yeah. There's all those goods. And then how do you personalize it to you?
Sure.
How do you internalize it that it makes sense to you and gives you power?
What do you admire in a powerful man? Someone that you would look up to? Because I know your type of relationships, and I know what circles you run in. So what do the people that you admire and you look up to, what do you look for in them? What are the pros and cons?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's kind of cliche, but their integrity. How do they?
Well, it's everything.
Yeah. How do they treat their lowest rung employee? How do they talk about their company and their people?
Right. Have you seen someone that you admired at first, and then all of a sudden you got behind the scenes and developed that personal relationship, and they're talking shit about their low-level employees or making fun of them, or they're coming off in a way that is so disaligned with how they present themselves to the world?
Yes.
You see that?
Oh, yeah. And it's disheartening, and it crushes your, a little bit of your soul because you put so much into that.
Right.
But
they show their true colors once they get comfortable enough.
And I probably didn't catch it at the beginning.
You wrote it off. Oh.
Yeah, that's kind of a fluke thing, bad day or something like that. But you really got to internalize that. You people's actions will tell you who they are. Right. So when you're watching those things, you got to internalize that, and it's not a bad thing. They have a lot of good qualities, and maybe if they're open, you can talk to them about it. It's probably not the best thing to.
What's the number one thing, Randy, you see in people that have power and influence, like strong influence in a market? They can move markets, or literally, or they have political pull, that kind of might. That's kind of the power and the might of some of the people you serve and your company serves. Those are the type of people you insure. These are people with big brands, big businesses, big companies. What is one of the one things that you see common that you don't like about usually those individuals that are in that? Is there something that is common in those types of people?
Yeah, for me, what I've noticed is I shy away from. It seems like when you have that kind of clout, that kind of power, once you start getting into politics, things start getting skewed.
Right.
And it's a natural tendency. You have the power to manipulate and steer. And if you don't have your head on right and you're not believing in,
this is good.
Our country and who we are, one nation under God, we have our freedoms. When you start tinkering with that stuff, I see a lot of powerful people get caught up in it.
Fall.
And I don't think they're consciously, I think they know. But I think they think that's the game, and they're so powerful they could change the game.
Sure.
And they don't change the game.
Yeah.
And there's a few that do. I mean, there's a few that do.
Yeah, this is not a one size fits all, but it's a cool conversation.
Yeah.
I'd like to go a little deeper actually, because I think there's a lot of value to consider here. Can you get successful at the highest levels without understanding the game of power?
No way. You have to understand power, influence. You speak a lot about that. And it is a game. The hard part for me is how do you play the game with the integrity that you need to? So you got to be.
Can you?
I think you can. I don't know. I'm testing that theory now.
I've been saying this for a long time.
Yeah.
I've been around people that are operating at that level, and I've got it in their inner circles. So I believe that it is possible to get to the highest levels of success.
Yeah.
And why not?
Yeah.
Just for the people that love the game of business and the game of making the moves and the deal, art of the deal, the people that love the deal. Can you get to the highest levels being a kind person that is full of integrity, and that even if you fuck up, you make a mistake, you can fix it quick.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Can you be that type of person where you can take extreme ownership, even if you have insane power and in strong political pull? And one of the things I'll add into that is every person that I know, and I think you would agree, that has actual power, they control politicians.
Yes.
They move them around.
Yes.
They flick them.
Yeah.
And they do what they're told.
Yeah. I remember, this is a little segue, but I was so arrogant at one point in my life that I was just like, Randy, do you ever aspire to be a politician? And I said, no. I aspire to be the guy in the back room telling what the politician to do.
Well, it's because you've been around it.
Yeah. So, it's kind of a shady area, but that's reality in a lot of stuff we do.
There's a great book. I almost don't want to recommend it to people, but it should be read.
Okay.
Just for like fundamental understanding of power and like why it's important. And it's called The 48 Laws of Power.
Oh, yeah.
And what I like about it is they go back in history, all the way back to like ancient Chinese culture, different emperors throughout history. They go back to the Roman Empire, all the different emperors throughout time, and how these stories of power were either used to sort of like really win, literally like dominate, win, like the whole power struggle, the games, like it's like a pulley or a constant tug and pull, and then and how power was used against power to take power down. But it was always the forces of two power that were competing and fighting against each other. And it really showed the law of how the person that always won was the person that understood power. And there's so many facets of it. It really interests me. So now when I look around, I really try to understand like the move that's being played. And my whole thing is can you still understand it? Can you still play it and be in integrity? And just know that this is how it works.
I think you can if you have strong enough convictions.
Yeah.
I mean, this will be controversial, but, Trump is pretty close. He stands on his convictions. He stands on his belief. A lot of people don't like him. He says a lot of silly things, I think, to get reactions. But I think there's integrity there.
Yeah, he's a power player for sure.
Yeah.
But you're right. At least
I'm not on the inner
circle. At least you know what you get with him.
Exactly.
Is what we feel.
Yeah.
And I think we have relationships that connect right to him.
Yeah.
And we can sort of speak through some of those personal relationships, sort of like the character of the man. And he's such an open book from what I hear from people that are right there.
Yeah.
You get what you get. And I've spent time with his son, enough time to just think that this is a great guy.
Yeah.
Like the family is something that I could attest to a little bit.
Yeah.
Which is an honor, right? To be in some of these rooms that I've been in, some of these parties I've been at, some of these events I've been, some of these charity events.
Yeah.
I was even around RFK.
Yeah.
And that was a rewarding experience because some of these guys that I actually like, they just don't feel like politicians, but when you're around a politician, you feel it.
Oh, yes.
It's a different feeling. It's a different motivation, but you can also feel when you're around power that is authentic and almost like in integrity. And what doesn't mean that it's not dominating. It just means like you could see the guys that have power that are playing a game your gut feels like it'd be hard to trust that person.
Yeah.
Trump doesn't seem like he'd be hard to trust.
Yeah.
He seems like he'd be an easy guy to trust.
Yeah.
Because you know what you get.
Yeah.
There's something rewarding about it. And all these people that are like, oh, he's a womanizer or he's a this or that. He slept with this person. He's like, well, he was a New York billionaire developer in the 80s, So like, we don't need to act so surprised here. Like everyone's a saint in the world and it hasn't slept around when you're a really wealthy billionaire in New York.
Yeah.
Just to get it out there to the world, I don't even care about Trump.
Yeah.
It's about the ideology that he supports versus the ideology of these people that they're pushing.
Correct.
That's it. I just feel like we should say that. But again, the power that is part of that, it is so destructive by nature.
Yeah.
But yet it's required to win because if you don't understand the game, you're going to get railroaded by people that do. And if you do understand how to play the game, even with you, if you do it in integrity, and we have many stories between us where we could shed this to the audience, you could still get absolutely murdered and crushed.
Oh, yes.
And again, you did everything right, and you don't understand the media machine that's played. You don't understand the race card and the cancel culture, how it can be played against you to weaponize against you. Power is evil, and it's ugly, and it's dark.
Yep.
And it crushes. Absolutely. Yeah. You could have literally, you could be going on 10 years thinking you're doing fine. And all of a sudden, like one big thing happens in your life and boom, you get crushed with a lawsuit.
Oh yeah.
You know, with a $500 million second judgment getting slammed down your throat. Imagine like the games of power that you see being played in the world against good, decent men and women. And so if you're not able to like combat that, force it, if you don't understand like just the legality aspect of being able to protect yourself, protect your assets, protect your company, the game that has to be played there and the power that has to be executed. I think so many people live in la la land and they don't understand how it really looks.
Yeah. I think to add to that is you know, for aspiring to that level, you have to have the right people around you. You have to have people speaking truth to you. You know, we have a great friend that is so honest, and you know, I'm going to throw out his name just because I love him. But Ron Nielsen, he will not hold back. Randy, you're really effing up. Randy, why are you thinking this way? That's very egotistical of you. Have you thought of this?
Sure.
But you got to have those people around you that speak truth. All of us need it once in a while.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, you know what's special about that too is that you're getting that from a person whose time is incredibly valuable.
Yeah.
And to be able to get that gift of that kind of transparent honesty.
Yeah.
To see your blind spots, to call you out on your bullshit.
Yeah.
It's really valuable because that's a high value human going out of his way to call you out on something that that is probably will shake you the right direction faster than anybody.
Yeah.
And that's happened to me before too.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, I didn't know that. Now I know.
Yeah.
I made a crucial mistake one time. It was one of the dumbest mistakes. I was on someone's private jet and I took a photo. And there was a person in the background of that photo. And I just didn't know. I thought it was I asked the person I took the picture with, who happened to be someone very important. But these are the examples of there's different rules. Yes. You don't just take photo. You're like, what? Are you kidding me? You have no idea how damaging this stuff is. You start doing this shit.
And how it spirals out of control.
It's terrible.
I mean, it's amazing.
I felt terrible. I felt sick to my stomach because I'm always trying to do the right thing. I never want to hurt anybody. I didn't, it's just all love. I'm trying to inspire the world.
Yeah.
But I'm a voice as I pursue my purpose and my mission that is choosing to step in the light in a world where kids are addicted to this stuff.
Yeah.
The technology is hurting children. It's killing them at a rapid pace. 1 out of 4 teenage girls has actually planned their suicide in America, according to the last CDC report. Yeah. I'm all over this right now. And it really has become a conviction of why I'm using my brand to try to help people, give the stories that matter. Yeah. And even if it's one person, it's good enough, I claim. But at the end of the day, if more Eric stepped up, more Randy stepped up. Yeah. Because the people you admire or that you've learned from, they're not on social media. They don't have a social digital presence.
No, they actually frown upon it.
They hate it.
This discussion right here.
Of course, they don't want it. They don't want seen.
Yeah. But
at the end of the day, I think the good that comes out of it from getting people to sort of open their eyes, to learn how to be a valuable human in life. Yeah. You know what my thing is your dad. You have a little girl. How important is she to you, right?
Everything.
Listen, Randy, in a world that is so toxic and so filled with hate and with evil, I would call straight up evil. And I think wherever there's freedom, there's going to be a force trying to destroy it. Just call it what it is. It's an ideology that destroys freedom, by the way. And that turns into actions. Yeah. Wherever there's good, there's bad. Wherever there's light, there's dark. And what's crazy is wherever there's innocence, man, there's some predator around the corner trying to take it.
Yes.
And what I'm seeing more now than ever is people that are emotionally upset, but they're not doing anything about it. They may be mad at the TV. I have watched people that I know dearly and I love. They almost have heart attacks through COVID, watching the news, watching the manipulation, the lies, all that. But they're not really actively doing anything. Yeah. That emotion's not serving them. So I started asking myself, because I didn't want to be emotionally rung up on things that I see happening, I believe are happening. I'm in the know. And again, all the people I admire, trust me, they're in the know. It's not like you just turn the news off and you don't watch politics anymore and like, oh, I will be blissfully okay.
Yeah.
Like it's such an ignorant thought. And you know what? Maybe ignorance is bliss, but no, it's the people at the top, they're emotionally stable. They may be pissed, but they're controlling the chess pieces that they can, but they are very in the know. So when you're around that, you sort of take on that same temperament. I want to be in the know. Yeah. But I don't have that kind of money to throw around to move mountains and do things with money. So what is something I can do on my journey? That was what the questions I started asking myself early in my career that actually have impact in my local community. If I'm on the board of this charity, or if I go to this event, if I contribute here. Well, social media, I kind of started looking at it the same way over time. It's a way to put an action in the world where my voice can impact some kid's life, some person that I used to be. And this is just a cool story. I got a tap on the shoulder at the gym the other day, and this happens pretty much all the time. I don't mean to brag. Yeah. It's not a brag. It's special to me. And it was this guy, I'll say his name right here. His name was Ed Price. If you're listening to Ed, this is really special, man. Thank you. But he just tapped on my shoulder, and he said, I never met him before, but he said, you changed my son's life. He's been following you for years. He had some really hard times. He's now going to Navy. He's going to be he's a Navy fighter pilot, and he really looks up to you, man. And I just want to say thank you for what you do. Thank you for what you say about kids. That's enough validation for my effort to sort of solidify my conviction with it. And you know what? Maybe sometimes you need a little validation because you're always going to have doubt. You're always going to question yourself. Even the great ones do. Yeah. But this is how I choose to use this weapon. And it's cool to be able to get someone like you who's temperamentally quiet. You're not a guy that's loud and in your face. You're not a social media type. You're not building a brand, but you do have a little girl. Yeah. And I think that getting to my original point, when daddy becomes a hero, and is actually doing something that's scary, that's risky, but it's in the marketplace sort of showing that you have courage and you're going to step in the light and use that courage to sort of be a voice for the voiceless, be a voice to sort of confront the evil that is right there. Oh, yeah. You're going to step up to it instead of just being mad but you're actually going to go try to go where the children are addicted and where they're dying is there and actually make an active stance to that. I admire that. And I just think that generation that we're talking about, they missed that train. Yes. It makes sense. But it doesn't mean that we need to follow suit and be okay with it.
And I'm in that middle of the ones that just can't see the value. Right. And then I was just scared to death of it. So
do you see the value though?
So here's my journey. When you first started this, we've known each other a long time.
Yep.
I was very worried about you. And because all I knew was the negative of social media. I was worried that it was ego-driven. It was, it would take you down the wrong road, I guess. Now, knowing you, I also had faith in you to watch it and see where it went. And, I supported you. Even when people were just like, what's going on here?
Yeah, why is Eric doing this?
Yeah, why is Eric doing this?
Nobody seems to like it.
Yeah, well, but a couple of things happened during that transformation. The content you put out was wonderful. Your development into kids started skewing my view for this can be used for something good. Mm. And the boards that we're on, the kids that we serve, you just start seeing the value. And if you handle it right, you can kind of get to that place. Yeah. Then I had a daughter at 56 years old.
You did.
So I'm...
Little Victoria.
Yeah. Thanks to a trip we took.
Yeah, the boys' trip.
I found my fiance.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
We found her all right.
Yep. We had to go a long ways, but I found her.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
She's awesome.
Just going to give a shout out to Alicia and Victoria. I love them.
What a family.
They're everything to me.
Yes.
Changed my world.
And they're my next door neighbors. They live right on the lake next to me. So we got a cool setup.
Yes, we do. Very blessed. So, once the daughter came into the picture, it's a way to, I work a lot in boardrooms. Like you said, I stay behind the scenes, try to elevate that area.
Sure.
And this allows me to kind of shine a light on some of the things I care about. And, I'm going to be completely honest, 58 now. She's 2.5.
Damn.
I got to leave something.
You look 40.
Yeah, thanks. But I got to leave something for her. I want her to look back on her dad and be proud. And it's not always smooth.
Yeah.
But I want her to see that.
Well, I would add, just to give context to that point, we know you're going to leave your daughter a lot, and you're going to leave. You're a gift as a dad for sure for any girl. But I think just for context for the audience, what you're unfolding is sort of like the social media footprint that you can leave after you're gone. It shows the best of thoughts you've had, the worst of thoughts. It shows sort of the trajectory and the history. One of the thoughts that we just were talking about earlier that is, I think, where Randy kind of was leading is even in my trajectory, for me personally, if you look back, ideally that is the best of what I have to offer the world. It's that's what brand is, right? It's my heart, it's my soul, it's my vulnerability, it's my passion, it's my message, it's my mission, it's my purpose. It's all kind of built into what I want to tell the world. And this is the work of me, but it's on display with the intention, impact, and really to kind of put a middle finger up to the system, to big tech, the media. Like they don't like guys like us. Like I'm not playing the game that they want me to play. I'm censored all the time. I'm shadow banned constantly. I have restrictions on my account, but allows me to fight back. And it's a place where my voice gets trapped in time. Yeah. And 100 years from now, at least there's some, my great whatever down the road has a place to sort of go look at, like great Uncle Eric, or just see some thoughts. And whether that's it has anything to do with legacy or not, it's really irrelevant. But it's a place. My point is, it's a place where anybody, regardless of your capacity, you can start really looking at as a different type of tool than you've ever imagined. Yeah. And at least start using it as a tool to fight back, to go live a purposeful life, a meaningful life. And there's something in my mind is when you treat it like a business, as a creator, not a consumer. Your output changes, your frequency changes, and ideally, the accountability on your shoulders should change. If I'm going to go tell the world all these things, well, I better be it. Yeah. It's a different level of pressure and stress. If you have integrity, if you have morals, if you're a morally convicted person, I just think there is some value in sort of at least connecting dots for people that are going to choose to use it not as a consumer that's addicted, but as a creator that's going to help explore the boundaries of your brand, your message, your mission for your company or for you. You can be a faceless brand too. Yeah. That really has a mission in mind. But listen, in the modern day, it's just another form of advertising to get a message out. And, I see a lot of people, they love Trump. Well, it's a master, but they hate social media. Well, he's a master at social media. Yeah. You get my point? Like Elon Musk, he's a master at social media. In fact, he spent $44 billion buying a platform, which arguably is the link between free speech that should not be there anymore, and its citizens. Why? Yeah. Because all these big tech platforms suffocate the truth, and they control market share. I mean, there's other places like Rumble that has now their own servers that can't be canceled by Amazon, but there's very few places where there's a platform that big with that many users, where the truth can get out without being censored in a way that is constantly indoctrinating, desensitizing, and putting perversion into children's minds. Exactly. So the point is like, I think good guys need to start fighting there. You can't just ignore it and then keep yelling at the Fox News. Yeah. You got to go actually sort of figure out, how am I going to make the biggest dent with what I have in front of me? Now, if you're a gazillionaire, you can go put your money to work. Yeah. You can fund this or fund that or build that. But for the average person that's considering this, like, what kind of tools would I want to put in my arsenal to sort of live a meaningful, purposeful life? This actually is a really good resource for that, I think. And again, if it wasn't, then Trump wouldn't use it. Exactly. Trump's been so effective with getting his voice out and his message out historically, right? Yep. If it's not too good for him, then it's not too good for me. Yeah. And I just point that out often, is like, it's so easy to point the finger like, oh, you're stupid. You're such a pathetic person. But like, I can list on my hand all the people that leverage it. Tom Brady. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think this is going to be funny for a lot of people that are in the space. They're in the thought. You start building a brand, putting out content, and nobody likes that you're doing it. Yeah. But then all the people that don't like that you're doing it, they're liking everyone else's stuff that's like their hero, or the athlete that they love, or the celebrity that they love. Like Tom Brady, like. Yeah. But you can't even like your own friend's stuff because you know what I mean? Oh yeah. You get a lot of this kind of petty nonsense stuff. Yeah. Because what it does is, oftentimes when someone starts building a brand and putting their heart out and being vulnerable and starts actually getting momentum, especially when it gets momentum, other people that are naturally around you that are not inclined to be that way, they start putting off their insecurities onto you. They can't do it, and so they're going to start throwing stones at you because you tried. It's just one of those natural things in the evolution. But I don't know, I think we went deeper than we probably should have on this.
I know we could just keep
but
going.
I think a lot of our audience is trying to consider, how do I build brand? Why would I build it? What is there to consider here? And for you, you're in the insurance world, and you did it the old-fashioned way, which is super admirable.
Yeah.
But in the modern day, if someone's just starting out, it's going to be hard because you're competing against old bulls that have market share like Randy, who have every big client in town that you dream of having, which you'll never get unless he dies.
Yeah.
But so where are you going to start? Like, you have to get every resource in the world to get your brand and your business to elevate to the next level, period, end of story.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So speaking on that, there's our generation, mine, 58, and we're kind of moving out. And you have the 30 to 40-year-olds moving into that space. And there's a couple of things I always like to hit on is, one, they got to get involved and they got to step up. I don't care what that is. Join a board. Get involved. Yeah.
With the community.
Start expanding your charity, definitely. Find your charity. Find your passion. It took me a long time to develop it. But you take that and you elevate it. And so for me, 2001, I was forced onto a board, Post Falls Chamber, didn't want to do it, didn't want to put myself out there. Who did I meet there? Ron Nielsen.
Everybody.
Yeah. That was, we used to call them Mafia of Post Falls. Yeah. They did everything. They controlled everything. And I learned very quickly of watching them. And I went into it selfishly. It helps me.
Sure.
Make sales, do the things that I'm doing to make me more successful. But over time, I started admiring these people. I started understanding them. I started understanding the game more. Yeah. Even though I worked for a large corporation, this is on the local level. So it really develops. And I can't say enough for those 25 to 40-year-olds. You got to jump in.
I agree. I'm right there with you.
You got to jump in.
And that was one of the benefits of me coming into entrepreneurship and instantly having powerful friends like you and being able to tap into your networks is because like very quickly I could mimic those same moves or drag me into stuff. Yeah. And at least being drug into it, it allows sort of me to sort of see how it all works. Yeah. And be around it. Yeah. And what's crazy now is like now that I'm at 40 years old now, I can look back and kind of connect the dots looking backwards and see right now how many young people were in my position. Colton, our producer here, is a prime example. Yeah. They're not making these decisions because they don't have the right influences around them. They don't have people that are saying, you need to be doing this, you need to be doing that. And, so it's kind of a gift now to be that person for someone like Colton and say, hey, you got to be here. You got to be here. Like we did a podcast yesterday with the sheriff. Yeah. And Colton was busy. He's busy as hell. He's going to have some other guys like, no, dude, you need to come do this one. Yeah. You don't understand how powerful the sheriff is. He's an important person to have in your wheelhouse. You want to offer him value. You want to work for him for free. Trust me when I tell you, just show up. Even if you don't think it matters, it matters. Just trust me when I tell you, every single big person in town is wants this community to be safe, and he is the head of law enforcement in this entire region, bro. Yeah. Do not just not show up because kids don't know that's the sheriff. Who is this guy? Yeah. I'm like, no. I'm sorry. I had to shake this like reality into him. Like, it's a big opportunity. Would you not agree with that? Oh, I agree 100%. Yeah. You got to get in the room with them. You got to watch them. You pick the good things. Yeah. You see how things operate. I was the old school where you were supposed to make 30 to 50 phone calls a day, cold calling. Do you do that? No. Yeah, fuck that. No. So, a little selfish part of me was just like, this seems really dumb. There's got to be a better way. And so when you get in the room with these people, all of a sudden they're calling you, asking you questions. Yeah. And it clicked in my head immediately once I got in the insurance world was, if I keep on exploring this and getting around people that are powerful and boards and stuff like that, totally selfish at that point. I haven't learned everything yet. Yeah. But it elevated me. Sure. And one of my first sales I remember is, I made like my family and friends. I got those, an auto policy, a house policy. Low-hanging fruit? Yeah, low-hanging fruit, stuff like that. And I remember
A gentleman I met on a board called me up and goes, "Hey, I need some tail coverage." And I had no clue what it was. And I'm just like, "Okay, I'll be in your office in an hour." And, I learned as I was going. I asked a bunch of questions, just high level, how do I get this done? I make $110,000 sale.
Boom, there it is.
And I'm just going, click.
I'm in.
Yeah. That's how I want to do
That's the
things.
game.
And then, it develops into some of my greatest relationships, long-term relationships, are my clients.
Right.
And they're great people, and I
you.
learn from them, and I have dinner with them at their houses, and we go back and forth. And so, insurance is not sexy. It's a necessary product, protecting assets. It should be treated like everything else that you hold value in that has an asset. Your lawyer's there, your accountant's there.
Sure.
Your insurance guy should be there. You have doctors, you have this core group, and that's your asset protection. And so, once I went into that mindset, and I would develop relationships.
Right. I
could care less about, I do the right thing, but the product. 90% of it's boilerplate. I'm a middleman. I am their advocate against, I shouldn't say this, but the insurance companies. I am there for them.
Right. Can I tell my personal story?
Absolutely.
Do you mind?
Yeah.
This is a cool story, I think, for the audience. And I've been giving a lot of advice to some of the young people in my life that I mentor, that I'm naturally around. Colton, keep pointing my producer out over here, is one of them. Yeah. But you need to have a rock solid team. And I got lucky in that I was able to sort of early in the entrepreneurial journey of me, bring on enough of the right people, kind of stumbled onto just the right situation where when I started really locking that relationship up in all its value and really understanding what value really looks like now, if I was going to go strategically do it, I would only pick the most powerful forces in the industry within the communities that serve me. Yeah. I wouldn't just call the 1-800 number and say, "Hey, I need Geico insurance." Fuck no, hell no. Yeah. I would find the best force that are in alignment with my goals and ambitions. And I'd want to make sure that person, I look at them as they're on my team. I'm not just hiring for insurance. And I have a really great story I'm about to tell you guys. But now that knowing what I know now, whether it be my lawyer, I want the best lawyer in town that's the most connected. And you think, "Oh, well, he's expensive." No, expensive is not having the best. Yeah. You have no clue what you're talking about because you haven't done anything worthwhile yet. But trust me when I tell you, cheap, affordable, 1-800 number stuff is not effective. Yeah. Not if you want to be at the top of the food chain. If you have ambitions and you want to win and you want to get rich and you want financial freedom, then you better put the best around you, and you have to invest in that. It's an investment. Now, with insurance, at the end of the day, I know this game for you. It's not about the price. Yeah. And oftentimes you'll beat anybody's price. It really has nothing to do with that. It's that there's so much heavy marketing in your industry from so many powerhouse brands that just flood the market that to find a Randy, you have to be in the know. You have to know great people because he's not out there like that. This is not a mass connoisseur of marketing. This is someone that is strategically the person you put in between you and your liabilities. So when shit hits the fan, you have a person who's going to fight for you because trust me, insurance agents screw you over. No offense to your industry. They are there to screw you over. But the guy that's there to protect you is not. This is my experience. Yep. And so when you think about building something significant, you want a good lawyer. And I have one of the best attorneys in America. We've worked with some of the best. We got one here locally who's just a stellar rock star. If his name's on a piece of paper, it should you shiver. One of the best litigators in America will take you to court. But again, I feel strong in our conviction of who we trust and who we put our resources in. My insurance guy, Randy, may not seem like not. Let me tell you what happens when stuff goes wrong. We have a jewelry business, a jewelry store, a brick and mortar, big building. And one night about 3 a.m, I get a call from the police department, and my alarm company keeps calling my phone. The alarm went off, and it called me 15 times. And I think my phone was on silent, but it was zzz, 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 and just would not stop. Zzz. And I finally answered. It's 3 a.m, true story. And it's the cops saying, "Hey, you better get down here." And then right after that, I took the alarm call. Someone broke in your store. And so we just got robbed is all I hear. It's all I really know. So it's 3 a.m. I call our manager, Mike, who went down there. My very next phone call, who do you think it was to? Mr. Randy, 3 a.m. He answers the phone, And he tells me, this is what you're supposed to do. Calm down. You'll be all right. We'll figure this out. Go handle it. Do you want me to show up? And I was like, no, there's nothing you can do right now. Anyway, it's 3 a.m. We're going to go down there. And so bottom line is no, wait a minute. I just screwed that whole story up.
You're talking about
I'm talking
car.
the other, okay. Same story, 3 a.m.
We had a couple.
We had a couple. Let me redo this. 3 a.m. Cops call someone tried to rob our store this time. They drove through the front of our store with a truck, and we have a 65,000 square foot building in Liberty Lake, and someone drives through the center of our building with a truck, and they run in trying to rob our jewelry store. And at that time, they just destroyed our entire property. But it was the same thing. So Randy's there. That process went seamless. I was trying to tell the first story.
I know.
Here's the first story. I get a call. Randy was there at the 3 a.m. story too when they drove through, but that was someone trying to rob us. Anyway, having a Randy on your team, even in that scenario, good. But the one I'm trying to land to you is, so it was the next morning, ran a different time after we'd closed down that night. I got a call from our store manager, and he said, "Bro, the store got robbed." And I was like, "You're joking." And he goes, "No, man, it's really bad." He goes, "You need to get here." And I was like, "Well, I'm on my way." My heart was racing. I didn't know how bad it was, and it was bad. They got us for, I think the retail value of what was stolen out of that store was easily $1 million, like the full retail value of the product that was missing. And a lady, it was a woman that had gamed our entire system. And again, we made some crucial mistakes that we had to learn from on our end. Our close down procedures, when you get insured and you have a jewelry store, there's a strict process that has to be followed. And if you fall outside of that process, you fall out of coverage. And I'm just going to say it. Am I allowed to?
Okay. I think so, yeah.
Yeah. So they were not going to cover it, bottom line. So again, it was this big robbery. Big news was there. It was a big heist. We never got the jewelry back. To this day, I have no idea what happened, which is painful. But it was a big deal here locally. But I call Randy, and we start going through the process, but we realize we are uninsurable, really. Yeah. I mean, it was kind of this reality that we made such a crucial mistake in the close down process, and it clearly states right here, when you have a guy on your team like Randy, that's how it looks at it. It's like he's our team. I remember him at some point saying something along the lines of, "It doesn't matter what it's going to take, we're going to make you whole." Do you know how much confidence and courage it takes? Because what he's essentially saying is we're going to fight the insurance company. Yeah. And I don't know what he did, but I know that it wasn't easy. He put all his reputation, his hard work, everything he's built with every kind of ounce of pull and leverage he could find. He went and fought this battle for us. And we patiently waited and just prayed. And deep down, I thought there's no way we're going to see a dime of this money. We are absolutely screwed. This was a big deal. You know what I'm saying? And all of a sudden, we found, after like literally being told no like 3 times, I remember the letters kept coming, the denials kept coming. We just weren't going to get any money out of this. And again, right when it mattered most, Randy came through, and somehow he got these guys to cut us a check, and he made us whole. At the end of the day, we lost no money on that deal. Yeah. And I just got to tell you, so my loyalty for seeing Randy fight so hard, that's why you need an insurance agent if you're building a brand or a business that is, I don't even call you an insurance agent. He owns the whole damn company. You need a guy like Randy in your life. If you do not have a guy like Randy in your life, you're not doing business life. Every single personal relationship you have inside the inner sanctity of your business, that's the people that protect your assets and they really protect the liabilities. That's important too. Yeah. You want someone like Randy, there's always a slip and fall right around the corner.
Oh yeah.
And we had one of those too, didn't we, Randy?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'll tell you, we lost $2 million we lost, but it didn't affect us. And it's because Randy took the hit, not us. Randy's the one that took the hit on a lady that touched our table when it was on a 4-wheel dolly, and it hit her foot and it broke her foot, and she sued us. And it was a piece of furniture that was we in our furniture store business. The point is, I keep hammering this, this is all the ways over the years we've gotten screwed over. We've had trucks go missing that were stolen from us, didn't we, Randy?
Oh, yeah.
like people don't understand. If you're growing a business and you're running a big business and it's growing and there's all these things, you're going to have all these problems. If I would have called just a regular Joe Schmo down the street, I bet you we wouldn't have had any of these wins that we had. It turned into wins, but it's because of him. I just got to drive that point home, man. So thank you.
Yeah.
People don't know.
Yeah.
They don't know why this is so crucial. So I'm going to make sure that I refer any business. If you don't like your insurance agent, if he's screwing you over, if you're not happy, if he's lazy or she's lazy, if you don't know them, but you know me, cancel your insurance and bring it all to this guy right here. You can't go wrong. I'm just going to say it.
Okay.
I'm just going to say it.
Yeah.
I love you, man.
Yeah.
I at least owe you like that kind of clout because you deserve it. But those are all true stories.
Yeah.
Those are like 4 out of many incidents that really hurt.
Yeah.
And without him, we don't survive.
Yeah, and I'm going to add to that a little bit. It's your agency that you go to. They have to have the relationship with the carriers, and so you develop that over years. There's trust that goes back and forth. One particular instant that finally came back just a couple years ago, but this is probably 10 years ago. Had an audit. It was totally done wrong. Missed the scope of timing. One of the top 5 insurance companies in the world. I got on the call. They just handled it wrong. And a longtime client, super high premium, always been good. There's no reason that they shouldn't allow the audit to come back and be fixed. I get on the call with the vice president of North America, with this company, and we're actually cussing at each other. We settled it, got it taken care of, but I was banned for 3 years from that company to ever write.
Because you fought so hard.
Blackball, and he said to me, "You work for me, you do not work for your client." And that's when it went around.
You hear this?
Yeah. And I said explicitly, F you. And we got in a huge argument. I was blackballed for 3 years because of that conversation and try to do the right thing for the customer.
Yeah.
Now, they knew better, and at the end of it, it worked out.
Yeah.
And they brought me back on.
The level of transparency that I've had, my experience with you, I mean, I didn't mean to turn this into a big pitch about Randy, but I just want to be clear on when you really consider what business is, an effective business, efficient business, you really want to bring in the best because it pencils. You got to trust me on this. This stuff pencils to bring the best. Don't go half-ass on stuff because you're one lawsuit away from being crippled.
Yeah.
You're one liability mistake away or asset protection state away from being crippled. Like if you're going to be effective in business, you need a team of people around you that are going to be savage to go fight for you. Yeah. But if you don't know the guy and you don't have a relationship, that's why all this stuff's important. But the more intrinsic value that I got out of Randy all these years by having a guy that just runs our insurance, and we have land everywhere. We got development. There's so many things to insure in my life. In our family's life, there's tons. It just keeps growing and growing. Actually, I mean, he insured an entire hospital, physician hospital. He insures the largest private hospital in the state of Idaho. Like there's you insure big business. I'm actually the little guy in this in many respects for as far as Randy's clients goes. But he fought for me like I'm a big guy. But at the end of the day, the better intrinsic value was actually develop a real relationship with him, where everything he was part of, he would invite me to. Yeah. He would bring me part of it. And that's my ability to sort of understand like the type of people I want to be near are the ones that are engaged. They're connected in the community. They're friends with the mayor. They have a personal like relationship where they hang out every week. He's the friends of every powerful CEO in the markets we serve. He's friends with all of them. He sits on every board. He's at every charity event. Every single time there's an event, you're going to see Randy there. And that is what good business looks like. And those are the friends that I want to keep. And it really has nothing to do with insurance. The truth is you wouldn't even know it because Randy only goes after big fish, first of all. But it doesn't mean if you're not a little fish, I mean, you don't know me, you can't get right into his Rolodex. Because he'll help you grow. He'll want you to grow. He'll want you to scale. You can lean on him. But the biggest gift is, at the end of the day, is the relationships that he hands you. If I need a guy, I call Randy. If I don't know what I'm looking for, but I know that it may be out there, he'll direct me. He'll pinpoint the thought. He'll give me a list of 5 options. It's really important to have a Randy in your life. You guys, you just gotta really land this point. But I think a lot of people, when they think about scaling, growing, they don't really understand how important this stuff is, because it's not a really sexy topic.
It isn't.
It's not very talked about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But really want to hammer this home for you. So give me some of the secrets in building the success of your business, because how does someone like really, at the end of the day, insure such powerful players? Because, correct me if I'm wrong, some of your relationships before you ever got a book of their business, any book of business with some of these types of clients, you may have had to nurture that relationship for 6 or 7 years, 4 years, 3 years, 2 years.
Oh, absolutely.
Is that really the game of attracting high net worth?
That's why I keep going back to join a board, an association, something you're passionate about. You'll naturally start making relationships. And you're right. Some of them took 5-6 years.
Have you ever worked on a relationship that for so long, just hopefully you get to business one day and it just never is manufactured, but the relationship's still valuable. You still serve it.
Yeah. I'm 8 years in on one right now.
So think about that, guys. 8 years, like giving, expecting nothing in return and hoping one day he can land the insurance for that business. Because with Randy, if he's going after someone for 8 years, it is such a valuable client that all he needs is one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Randy's not a volume guy. He's got a whole team for that. Those are the people around Randy, but Randy goes after like the big fish, the ones that really like are the relationships that all you guys want, the ones that I want, the ones that carry weight. Those are the people that I admire because they do things that are rare. They do things that are impossible in many cases.
I'm good friends with this person, and I respect the process. And he's got his reasons.
What can you say what some of them are?
He's had a long-term relationship with the agency, and I'm completely honest with them too. They do a good job.
So how do you overcome that obstacle? Because relationships are everything.
It is. So
you're gonna have to outpace.
Oh yeah. I'll outperform, outpace them. I'll work harder. You speak a lot of this. You dig your heels in and you just keep working it.
Yeah. And
he's become a great friend.
I mean, there's value there too.
Friends with his wife, his kids, his grandkids.
I'm sure he would refer.
Yes. So I get referrals off. Yeah, so it hasn't like not paid off.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of clients I go to and I look at their thing and you're in a good position. They did it right. I'll be completely transparent.
Yeah.
I will work on the relationship. What is your relationship with them?
Well, what's cool is I bet we could go through like 1,000 stories with clients like mine where you were the guy now fighting, almost like you're an attorney. Like it's kind of what it
almost feels like.
It's always kind of how I thought of it. It was like the guy that goes and fights when someone's trying to screw me over.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The guy that's always giving me solid advice. Let me just say this right now. If you called Geico, even if you're low level, like and you have aspiring to be high level, like I would advise you to drop your insurance, call me and I'll connect you with Randy. I swear, I'm dead serious, a heart attack on that. I'm going to connect you with his team locally and we're going to set you up with a valuable person. And for those that listen that have a substantial business and that really want to actually just kind of take a look at what they have versus what that takes, is that easy to do?
Yeah, we can usually turn it around. It depends on the complexity, but
sure, we
can look at a complete policy.
Yeah,
and
at least go toe to toe.
At least go toe to toe. We can poke holes in it. There's another client that I just had to go have a conversation. Go, you're placed right. You got it's done well. You have a relationship.
Stay.
Yeah,
that's a good guy out there. But you don't get Randy as a friend.
Yeah.
And if you can bring that on and you got to work on your end. He doesn't just give himself to everyone, but point is like having Randy on your team, if you can understand the complex value of that, you're solid. But one other thing I would say is just another sort of testimony to this point is after our jewelry store got robbed, do you know how hard it was for it to get us insured again? We just got hit for a huge amount. We did it wrong. And now it's time to renew our policy.
Yeah.
And it wasn't easy. And he fought and he fought and he fought. And I remember how hard you guys fought for.
Oh yeah.
But we got insured again at a very reasonable rate.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't even know if there's a difference, which is crazy to me.
Slightly, but yeah.
Anyway, man, we could talk about this all day. Yeah. I just I feel like I just want to be able to give that kind of value and open people's minds. So I'll end this kind of structured thought with this idea that look around you. Your accountant, CPA, your lawyer.
Yeah.
If you don't have this stuff that is finite, done right, because sooner or later, if it's not done right, you're going to get audited.
Yep.
And if you get audited with your pants down, you're going to be screwed. It could literally cause so much stress and ruin you. Do it right now. Yeah. And if you're with high-level people, they will hold you accountable to do it right. Yeah. And again, like, so often people look at this as an expense that they can't afford. Not in your case, because you're just going to be competitive with anybody.
Yeah, we can compete with most.
You'll beat anybody. It doesn't matter. You get what you get with him is so different. But if you look at like a really well done, like high level CPA, it comes highly referred. I can give you that referral too. Yeah. I got all kinds of amazing people because that is all I search for in life. Is who's the best? Who's the best? Who's the best? Who's the best? And not in a non-arrogant way. It's just how I see the world. I want to go where the best go.
Yeah.
But that ticket price that most people think is too expensive, it's not an expense. It's an investment. Trust me when I tell you, those are some of the best investments you can make in business. Please hear this point when I say, especially for you younger entrepreneurs that are trying to figure it out, quit cutting shortcuts. Do it right. Even if it squeezes some of your margin, just do it right now. The sooner you start doing it right, the more efficient you can start being. The more efficient you start being, the more you'll start bringing the bottom line. And the more you bring the bottom line, and the better systems that you put in place along the way, the more you can go out and really do what you're supposed to do. And you're the guy or the woman in the company that is supposed to run the business, not be a slave inside of it. But the second I get around guys like Randy, the second I get around people like my attorney, or who I put every problem in the world on, our attorney in Laguna Beach, one of the most spectacular corporate attorneys on planet Earth. I'm just like, I have so much to say about the people that come into my world. But the point is these are the type of people that will show you how to be efficient. They will show you systems that you didn't know. And that alone, the education piece on that alone by getting people, it may far exceed the value of just hiring them on a retainer or bringing them into the services. So I'm glad we can land that.
Yeah, well said.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it, man. I do have a few more questions here, Andy, that I wanted to get through because I didn't know we were going to go so heavy into that topic, but we started going there, man.
Yeah.
So let's see. So you sold your company.
Correct.
Now, this is like a dream, and on social media especially, it is such a big topic for people that are in personal development to sort of bring up so casually, but it's actually really rare. Yeah. A lot of people don't have big exits out of a company. They don't build a company over a 20, 30 year period and then go have this, big exit that we all dream of. You were, so you're not only the best at what you do in this market, and you can serve national clients, right?
Correct.
But you were able to exit a company and sell it, and which is the holy grail for so many people to be able to get in that position. I know you've learned a lot through this process, and there's ups and downs to it. It's not all like green. It's a lot of hard work. There's a lot of contractual stuff on the back end. And again, with all the success you've achieved in selling a company, that huge milestone, I'd love to see if you can share your experience with that and the challenges and rewards that came along with selling your business, your baby.
Yeah. So sold it in 22. Right at a time that I'm developing my relationship with my fiance, find out we're having a baby. So in that aspect, and to have that kind of freedom through, the proceeds that came through that, blessed beyond belief. Sold to a very large corporation, $5 billion, 22 countries. I'm an agency partner with them currently. It gives me a lot of bandwidth that actually allows me to help more with some of my clients, the larger, more complicated ones. But like Eric said, there's the downside. So a couple of things happened to me on a personal growth area and the business side. Obviously, a large corporation is hard to turn, hard to steer. There's a lot of new rules, how they want it handled. You kind of butt your heads. But I have a say in it. I'm on the advisory council. It is a good company. working through those difficulties of being a large corporation. I left that 20 years and then went into the insurance business, built this. But it's still the same goal. I have, 161 clients that I really personally have my hands on.
Heavy hitters.
Have relationships with them. Probably can grow that to about 300 is the capability at this point in time. But one of the personal growths that, I kind of want to talk to younger people and maybe some of the audience has gone through this is it was a transformation for me because even though I achieved everything I thought I wanted to achieve, I was missing a couple of things. And working with Eric and Man on a Mission and some of the stuff that came to light is even though I had that, I wasn't happy. I was happy with my fiance, my all debts paid and living a blessed life, baby girl. But I found I was missing some purpose. I was missing some direction, who I really was. What is my mission? What gets me up in the morning? And that kind of goes back to, and this is just kind of a general statement for people that are listening, that you're young, you think it's this goal. It's very surprising once you achieve it. You need to have more. You can't just stop. Eric, I know you work hard. I mean, you work hard. I work hard. I want to have my fun time. I want to work hard. I don't see myself ever retiring.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah. It's not.
I don't understand the concept.
I don't either.
What am I supposed to do?
I know. I watch so many people that achieve their goal and they're lost. Yeah. So I don't want to be that person. So, I'm right now, I'm 58 and I'm working on my mission. What's
Beautiful.
Truly my purpose. It is kids. It is our innocent lives in the world. And so that drives me to just keep building bigger so I can produce a bigger foundation than I currently have, that I can do more for those kids, steer the direction, hopefully, through the people I know. That's why I'm sitting here on social media. I gave some purposes on that, but that really drives. That's probably the hardest thing I had to go through on that transition. Yeah. So all of a sudden I was lost because that was everything to me that I was building, and I could do things for the community. I can do things, and I still can. But to keep going and have a purpose and a mission for my heart for the kids, it just I want to affect things not only in the United States. Me and you have had some great trips where we were able to help some people in other countries.
Amazing.
Yeah, and it's so fulfilling. Yep. And so that's my drive today.
Sure. Well, I mean, I think I've heard this not just from you, but from many people. But this is a good thing to reflect on. Is when you sell the thing you've worked on for so long, you might lose your identity.
Yeah.
And if your identity is trapped in what you do, it's really easy to sort of fall off.
Yep.
And I've experienced that in a sense, and that's where I had to go searching for something.
Yeah.
And when I was, for just to connect to your story, on my journey, I didn't know where I was being guided, and I didn't know what the meaning of it was. But I just knew that I felt lost. I felt empty inside, and I was confused, but I had it all.
Yeah.
I have everything in the world, and I'm so lucky and blessed to how far my life has evolved compared to where it started, which was hell.
Yeah.
Literally. So I'm lucky to be here. I still felt lucky. Like, I get that. But something was wrong. And that was after my grandma died. I just felt so lost. And I started thinking about death in ways. So death was sort of the catalyst on my sort of realization that I had no purpose. Yeah. I'd been winning all these years, but I have no purpose. Yeah. And I think guys like you and me are probably aligned. Your childhood, sort of like my story, your story, it's kept us running from something. And that's probably why we were covering so much ground and doing so much risky stuff and killing so many dragons, stepping up to those dragons constantly. And for me, it was like stepping up to the dragon of action itself, which is always scary. was better than the dragon that I was running from, which was who I used to be.
Yep.
But I realized if you're never running to something, if you're not running to purpose, if you don't have love and sort of passion being the thing that's pulling you, you're always running, you're never really going to feel like full fulfillment. You're never really going to be satisfied. You're never going to really be happy. But most importantly, you're never going to really be at peace in your soul. And the work that I'm doing now, most people may not understand it. It's not for them to understand. What is your purpose is what I'd ask them. Most of these people that have these judgments, they haven't even found their purpose. Exactly. They're not really leaving an impact at all. They're, like, no offense. I see it all the time. But this is the lane where I have found purpose in my life. Yeah. And there's something really beautiful about stepping into the light itself, which was what one of the greatest mentors I ever hired in my entire life. He's really the only one the big ticket one first one I ever really hired, because all my natural mentors came naturally. Yeah. He was the one that I really sought out when I was lost. And then all of a sudden this dramatic change happened because he asked me 4 questions. And the 4 questions he asked me, I'll just tell him right now.
Yeah.
I remember sitting in front of him at his house, and he lived in one of the most exclusive neighborhoods in the world. You're in a who's neighborhood. You have Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, next door. You have Sylvester Stallone that lives down the hill a little bit. Every single Kardashian has a house up the hill. Justin and Hailey Bieber live right across the street. You have Phil Knight, CEO of Nike, that walks his dog past this house every day. So I'm in this very powerful place with very affluent and powerful people that are just, A-list up and down. And I'm in this $40 million home, and I'm sitting on this couch, and he looks at me, this powerful force that clearly knows what his mission is and what his purpose is. Like, when you're around it, you feel it, you know someone when they're in their convicted state. And he looks down at me and goes, all right, so what's your brand? And like I knew what he meant. Like, but I'm in my head, I'm trying to give an answer. I know. But nobody knows me. I don't have a brand. Nobody knows who I am. Like, that's the truth, right? And then he said, okay, he said, who do you help? And I started going to my head. I'm like, well, I do this charity. I'm on the board of this. I've done that. I've given to this. But like, I knew what he meant. Like, I'm playing small. Like, I'm not really doing anything big, buddy. And then he goes, well, why are you here? And I never felt so small in my life or see-through. Yeah. Here I am in front of this monster, is what it felt like. Just a powerhouse guy. Yeah. Fortunate to work with him. You just trust me. Everything's expensive when you do this kind of stuff. And I never felt so small. And it was right around this time, honestly, is where it dawned on me that I don't really know who I am. Because the very next question, he goes, who are you? Yeah. He goes, no, really, who are you? And I literally pulled back. I'd never felt so see-through in my life. I was like, I don't fucking know. I don't know who I am. Yeah. And here I am. I have the whole world by the ass. I'm succeeding. What perceptively it looks like I've got it all. Yeah. I have this dream lifestyle, this good setup in life. And again, one of the things that I argue, I've kind of made this part of a keynote of mine, is when the right person asks the right question at the right time, your life can change. And those questions really, they did something to me. It really shook me in a way that no one else had ever challenged me that way. Yeah. And what he did is he said, this is my story of how I started doing this. And I've never really told this. He didn't challenge me. He told me, he says, you're going to go step into the light and serve for the rest of your life. He goes, this isn't a goal thing. You're just going to start doing it. You're going to make this part of what you do. You step into the light, you get in the arena, and you play this game in the light. He goes, you have too much heart, too much soul. There's too much of a story inside you. He goes, I don't know what it is, but I can feel it. There's too much power inside you, Eric, to not get out into the light. So someone believed enough in me to like just see that and pull it out of me. He goes, so I didn't know how I was going to do it. In fact, my first response, Randy, was, well, I tried this once. Yeah. So I'm not meant to do this. And it was like 10 years earlier, I'd done a speech at the Bellagio. And
I remember.
I thought like I was, I put all this effort into it. Someone gave me an opportunity to go step into the light in front of this big audience on a stage. And I'll never forget getting up there, and I could not move the tongue off the top of my mouth. My mouth was so dry. I just couldn't move my tongue. And it was one of the worst feelings I've ever felt. It felt like the butterflies were going to explode out of my stomach. I hated it so much that when I got off that stage, I remember telling myself this. I said, I am not born to do this. Check.
Yeah.
I'm not going to try it again. And I said, the people that are good at this, they were born to do this. What a cop out. That's the story I told myself. And I went all that time just thinking that I tried it. It didn't work. I can't do it. Yeah. It's not for me. And then it took my grandma passing away to sort of be led to the place where that message was what landed with me. And then everything you see over the last 3 years that I've done, one thing at a time, starting little, just doing it consistently, but also in the self-belief that I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. That's what transformed my whole entire world. It's kind of cool to tell the story. I don't think I've ever told the story out here. Yeah. But that was how my journey into the light came, where I felt like my voice had some meaning, my life had some meaning, my life has some impact, and I do believe that I am serving at my highest and best use now. It may not be pretty, it may not be that good yet, I may not be good at it, but I can feel my trajectory. I know where I'm headed. I know where I'm going. I know who believes in me. I know who I am now. And I'm convicted in my soul with what I'm doing. That's all that really matters, as long as you're convicted in your soul. Yeah. And when you have the right people believing in you, the right influences around you, the right people pulling you up, sky's the limit. And I have the right people pulling me up. I literally have one of the best voices in the entire world that believes in me and is saying, hey, brother, I think you're the guy I'm going to pass the baton off to next. And that is one of the best speakers in the entire world, Ed Milet. Yeah. So you have that kind of strong, powerful pull. Yeah. You better do something with it, right? So if that helps anybody out here, it feels like they're missing purpose, or they're meant for more, or there's something in their stomach that's saying like I'm built for more than this. I hear that all the time now because that's who I attract. Let me just tell you, there is. Yeah. But if you don't make a catastrophic investment in it, meaning like you move heaven and earth and you shut the noise in your head and you just do it. Every day you do it. You move heaven, you just do it. Like you have to know you're competing now against guys like me, and we're savages. And there, it is a game, and there is market share. It doesn't mean you can't be impactful, but at the end of the day, if you let someone get under your skin, if you let this person said this, then they said that, like sort of like stop you, it will. I have to use that as fuel. Yeah. So I actually welcome the hate, talk shit all you want. I don't care. I had to really create the scar tissue to find the conviction in the way I fight in the light. But the impact on the other side is one of the most fulfilling feelings in the world.
Beautiful. Something to just say is I want to get out.
Get it.
People are impactful, and you look for mentors, and you usually look for someone that's older than you. They're wiser. They've gone through more.
Always.
Stuff like that. One of the conditions stuff, the reason I'm sitting here right now is because of you. Oh. He's almost 2 decades younger than me, but the way he attacked life, even before you started figuring this out, your work ethic, how you went about things, your zest for life, and just everything you did, you put your heart and soul into, how you would walk into a room and just, that took me 20 plus years to develop. And so, I just want the audience to know that there's also younger ones that you can aspire to. Yeah. The reason I'm sitting here is because of you. Wow. The reason I'm taking this risk because of you.
Appreciate you.
And putting myself in the light.
Yeah.
So it goes both ways.
Thanks a lot, man. I'm really grateful for that.
It really does.
You're right.
Yeah.
My grandma Charlotte, I think she's 83 years old. I think she listens to my podcast. I love my grandma. She's supposed to come up here this month. I'm really excited about that. But I interviewed her last summer. I've told this story before. Yeah. But I just think this is so cool. This part is, remember when I said when the right person asks the right question, the right time, your life can change? Yeah. I always want to make sure that if I can be that person for you, then let me ask you, who are you? What is your purpose? What is your mission? What is your brand? And who are you? No, really, who are you? Let me be that person now. Like, I get it, I give it, right? When I was with my grandma, I interviewed her. Ed Milet told me to interview my father, and I have yet to do that. I'm probably going to do it on this podcast sometime. Yeah. I want to build it up more, because that'll be cool. And, me and my dad, I love my dad. He's just an incredible person, and we've come a long way. You know what I mean? Like, we have. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we as a family, just everything we've been through and where we started, everything he's been through so much himself. All of us, we've just fought. We're fighters, but it'd be cool to do this. But I've never done that yet. But I did it with my grandma last summer. And we did it out on my deck. We got her up to Idaho. And it was really simple. It wasn't like a big interview. I brought cameras out. But I went into it thinking I'm going to ask her questions I've never thought to ask. And I started asking her questions about her love life, when she was her first kiss, her family, about her dad, her mother. And again, I say this before, but I had no idea how much I didn't know my grandma.
Yeah.
Like you think you know your grandma, but like she opened up a world that was so new to me. I didn't know her father was an alcoholic that used to abuse her. I had no idea my grandma had such a tough childhood. I didn't know that he would burn cigarettes out on her when he was drunk, and as punishment. And I didn't know this, but I asked my grandma a question that had such a profound effect on me. It's really a part of my message now. But I said, Grandma, do you feel like you've lived any of your dreams? And she started crying. I had never seen her cry like that before. And tears are just pouring down her face. And she said, Eric, I could have been somebody. I really could have been somebody. And like, I'm crying now. And like, I'm just holding my poor grandma. And she is somebody. She's a very special person. But she took me back to this 11-year-old little girl, immediately takes me back to 11-year-old little girl. And she says, I was a really good dancer when I was young. She goes, I could have gone to Juilliard. I could have gone to Hollywood. I could have written books. She said that, right? Yeah. And my dad told me that if I dance anymore, I'm going to end up on a couch with my legs up, and that dancing is for whores. And he
to an 11-year-old girl.
Yeah, he forbid me from dancing again. She goes, Eric, that was my passion. That's what I was good at. And what's interesting about it and very humbling is, there's a lot of statistics out there that kind of tell the true nature of this topic and of regret, regret in general, what you didn't do, things you didn't try. And there's actually a famous quote that it goes in alignment with this. It says that the wealthiest place in the world is just down the road. It's the cemetery. It's the graveyard. There lie the greatest works of art that never were, the greatest books that were never written, the greatest movies that were never made, the greatest stories that were never told, the greatest businesses that were never started, the greatest ideas that never manufactured. There lies the greatest gift, the greatest wealth of untapped potential. And it's like a powerful quote, right? You really consider, what are you going to regret on your deathbed? And now my grandma, 83, is giving me this gift and telling me, I could have been somebody, but I didn't. I stayed a slave, and I stayed trapped to my emotions and my circumstances and other people. And she goes, but Eric, there's still this little girl that lives right inside me that feels like it was just yesterday. Yeah. And I think that what's crazy is we always assume when you get older, maybe I'll be ready to die, or for me, I still feel like a kid. Do you feel like a kid inside?
Oh yeah.
That's one making decisions. That's the vulnerable one that was hurt or abused and didn't figure out how to leverage it or capitalize on it. For me, they became chips on the shoulder. Like my grandma didn't use hers the way that I used mine and get in action. But either way, you got to heal that little boy, little girl. And so here's what's cool. And this is kind of where the story I want to end. Is a few months later, I get a package in the mail, and it's this thick, I wish I had it here, it's this thick, hand-typed, book, and there's a cover letter on it, and it's a letter from my grandma, and she said, Eric, I wanted to write my story for you. And one of the lines she said in there is, I hope that this story, the Marciano story, gives you some peace. I hope it gives other people peace. I hope they can learn from my mistakes and my story. It was so sweet. I got to cry when I think about the cover letter. But I started reading it, and she's such a good writer. But the point is here's her grandson that asks her one question, the right question at the right time at 83 years old, and she's in her 80s, and then she goes and writes the book of her life. Yeah. Writes the whole story, gives it all to me. If I wouldn't have asked that right question at the right time to my grandma, that may not have sparked that thing in her to pour out. Yeah. But somehow I can't help but feel that all of a sudden, because the right person asked the right question at the right time that caused that action, she now feels like her life has a little more meaning. Yeah. Like her life has more meaning now. And again, so to your point, that it could be a younger person, it could be your grandson. Yeah. It sparks something in you. Yeah. But that goes back to the main point. You have to be living it. Yes. It's very hard to inspire someone if you're not doing the scary things, if you're not being vulnerable, if you're not putting yourself out there. It's the truth that's crazy is everyone we admire, likely they're in the light in most cases. The heroes of our childhood, the Mickey Mantles, the Babe Ruths, the athletes that were, whether you like it or not, they lived in the light. Yeah. You think about the most iconic people in the world, the Warren Buffetts, the people that did the impossible. That guy's been winning. He's a definition of what winning looks like for 90 years. Yeah. Literally. You think about the concept of what is winning. And this is maybe a cool question to land with you, Randy, is what is winning to you? I
go back to a book I read It's called Finishing Well. And it's kind of addressing the things we're addressing right now. It's know your purpose, know your mission, know where you're going. How are you going to get there?
Beautiful.
What kind of perseverance do you have to get over these, stumbling blocks that everyone has? No one escapes them. So, being 58, I'm kind of a little more reflective right now. And because my daughter, I am finishing well for myself first so I can give to my family.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
That's a good answer.
Yeah, I'm figuring this out. I'm.
You know what it reminds me is Man's Search for Meaning. Have you heard of that book?
Yeah.
That was written by a guy, it was in a concentration camp.
Yep.
And the perspective that you built, even in the worst human conditions, being tortured in the worst kind of way, that book had such a profound effect on me. But it really brings it back to perspective, purpose, the whole sort of, oh man, there's a lot of power in this conversation. If someone is struggling right now, what would your advice be for them?
I keep coming back to this thing because this is just what I use. When I get stuck, persevere, overcome, adapt.
So put a system in your life that is
system. How am I going to adapt to this situation? How do I overcome it? And I'm going to keep plugging away at this until.
I think you tapped into something I stumbled onto.
Yeah.
It's ask the right question at the right time.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, okay, I'm nervous or I'm scared.
Yeah.
Like, this is a moment I'm not doing good right now.
Yep.
This is a tough time in my life.
Yep.
I'm in this moment. I'm having this feeling right now with this thing. Yeah. If I could reframe it with a question, maybe I'll get a different outcome. Maybe my action will be different. I don't know. I heard that sort of like persevere, overcome, adapt.
Yeah. I think it's, it came out of a movie, a war movie. I think it was Clint Eastwood.
I think, but it depends on what you're struggling with. But at the end of the day, like, this is all, even in that response, that answer is, it's all a mirror of self-reflectiveness.
It is.
Like, do you know what I mean? And so many people refuse to look in the mirror.
Yeah.
And they keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. They keep thinking the world's going to happen to them. They have a mentality of a victim. They're letting things control them. There's some force controlling them, some addictive force that's holding power over them.
Yeah.
Once you look in the mirror and you can get really honest, it makes it really easy, in my mind, to start the process of putting a simple system in your place that can be like a trigger.
Yep.
Like Ed, my mentor, is big on triggers. Like, I have one bleed in every room. It's sort of a trigger. There's a response sort of when I say that changes my frequency, but allows me to control moments. It allows me to enter a space that I might be nervous or don't want to go into, or I might have a little anxiety, a little I'm nervous, I feel this all the time, actually. But it allows me, the second I can just take a deep breath, it's like a system now.
Yeah.
And I close my eyes. Like, Ed's a snap. It's a snap can change the room for him. He's big on the physical, like a baseball batter goes in the batting box, does this thing, right? That's a trigger.
Yep.
It puts him into yesterday's flow state where he was highly effective and he had self-belief and courage.
Yep.
So it all comes down, in my mind, of being able to trigger a new state of mind that puts you into that state of action where you're most effective in life. Yeah. So if I can win this moment, maybe I can win this morning. If I can win this morning, maybe I'll win this day. That's one day.
Exactly.
I'm still having a tough time right now. Yeah. But maybe if I did the same thing tomorrow and the next day, maybe I'll win this week. Yeah. What if I win this month now? Like, you want to pull yourself out of stuck, get really honest, and then start doing the hard things when no one's looking. Because it's like everyone does the big things when people are around. But if you can do the small things when people are not looking, you think that's important?
Exactly.
I think that says more than anything.
I think I incorporated something you do. And I know you know it, but the lists you created of non-negotiables.
The 34 rules?
Yeah.
It's good.
So I've created my own and stuff like that, and it just...
Is that effective for you?
I do. I read it every morning.
Yeah. What does it do when you read in the morning?
It resets my mindset.
Right.
I might be tired in the morning. I got just done with workout. I'm feeling achy. I really don't want to go to work today. I got these issues I need to take care of.
Yep.
It just takes me out of that. And kind of resets myself to say, let's go seize the day.
Yeah.
So it is a powerful tool.
I'll stack that for the audience, just giving massive value here, and then I'll probably ask you fire a few questions, and I don't want to go way too far over time here, but death. I think death can be one of the greatest perspective shifters ever, and a lot of the stuff that I naturally stumbled upon, me personally, I didn't realize that I was actually practicing Stoicism. You know, this is a philosophy that goes back to Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus, and but I started stumbling onto things where if I didn't like my behavior, or if I didn't like a feeling inside my body, if I did something and I feel yucky about it, I hate having ill feelings in my body. Yeah. And I love only looking forward. And sometimes you stumble and fall. You're going to have to figure that out. Yep. But again, if I can get back on course quick, you make a decision either left or right. But being in like the gray zone, it's not a good feeling for me. Yeah. So being a decisive person is really important. Well, one of these things that has been very helpful, and I naturally stumbled upon this when my grandma died, because I was trying to find solutions and answers to problems and questions that I was asking that I couldn't find answers for. And I was so far away from faith in God at that time. And I would ask really hard questions about death. I would think about my coffin all the time. I realized how quick time is going to move. This is here and it's gone. We're about to be done with this and it's over. Yeah. And death, for me, at first it was a detriment, and I didn't know how to give answers to things like, will I see my grandma again? What will she look like? Will she be the young version or the older version of my grandma? What about Winston? Do dogs go to heaven? What does heaven look like? Are we on puffy clouds? Do we golf? Are we wearing clothes? What happens when a baby passes away? Yeah. Like a baby hasn't developed language yet. It hasn't developed a personality yet. It's a blank slate. What kind of soul does a baby soul look like? Like, what is that? Yeah. Is someone taking care of that up there in heaven? Like, almost questions where I would get sick. Yeah. Because I'm the type of guy that I will beat up a problem until I solve it. It's my nature. It's in my temperament. And it's almost like a detriment, except it helps me win. That's why I win, is because I don't give up. I had to give up on this because I just wasn't finding ways to make it make sense in my mind. Yeah. And there's some things you just can't explain. And I know that sounds so bad, especially if you're a religious person, that people aren't going to want to hear that. But this was my process to find God. I didn't want to be preached to it in a building. I wanted to find it a different way. And when my grandma died, I never experienced this emotional connection to death before. Well, here I am. Yeah. I'm in it now. And one thing that started happening was I'd look at my wife and I'd say, and this was like a newer way that I've transformed this thing that never has really left me. And I'd say, like, what if she dies today? And that may sound morbid to most people. Yeah. One of the greatest gifts you can do, look at the person you love and say, you're going to die today. Because what it does, it takes all the things that are on the chess table and it moves them off that don't matter, and it leaves the pieces on that matter. And it allows me to play with the pieces that really move the needle in life, where there's the most value. And you could do this with anything. Any room I'm in, if I bring death in the equation, like, I'm just going to be with you right now because you're all I got. Yeah. If this is the moment, then you're it. It allows me to be more effective with people, have more meaning with people. I fight harder. I get what I want quicker. And oftentimes it changes my flow state. It changes my energy, my aura, my perspective, that kind of deep shift. Yeah. It pulls lazy right the fuck out of me. It makes me not tired anymore. I'm aggressive. I fight hard. But more importantly, it makes me effective as a human. Yeah. And again, like, leverage it or don't. But death is goes back to the philosophy of Stoicism as part of the way to be in every moment. Yeah. And it actually, in my mind, has slowed down time a little bit, because I can't be so far out in the future, which visionaries often are, and that's the type of mind that I am. And it pulls me back and it makes me so much more relatable with people that I need to be relatable with. Yeah. And usually they're like, who's in this moment with you right now in the pursuits that are important. But if I do the death thing every day, it just leaves me with a frequency of just pure value. And it takes stress off the table. You can do this, say you're stressed in your business, you're stressed about money, you're stressed about anything. Well, if you're going to die tomorrow, like, what does that do for you today? Yeah. Well, what would it do? Like, let's try to answer that real quick. Yeah. Randy, if you're going to die in a week, what are you going to do this week?
I'm going to go to all my relationships that mean something to me. Yep. First and foremost.
What else are you going to do? You want to talk about getting your house in order. This is the ultimate week to get your house in order, right? Why? Yeah. But why wait? Like, this is the thing I want to land. Yeah. If you need to get your house in order,
why isn't it now?
Do it now.
Yeah.
And there's things we all need to do that we haven't done. We keep putting off. You got to get a trust. You got to do this. You got to write your will. You got to lock up these assets. You need to start that LLC so you protect that entity.
Yeah.
Whatever you got to do it now. So death does it. It brings to the present the things that move the needle, that are valuable, that are actually have some connecting power to something that if something tragic did happen, this is secure, this is secure, this is secure, this is secure. Stop acting like you're going to live forever.
Yeah. I think that's a good point because my first immediate reaction is Alicia and the baby.
It's always
Victoria.
the first thing. Yeah.
And really what I'm saying is get the house in order.
Get the house in order.
So they're okay.
Yeah. You could do this with every aspect of your life, and death is is that powerful connection to sort of bridge the gap between like do it tomorrow, no, do it now.
Yeah.
And it kind of pairs up with this concept. I heard it once and I never could unhear it. A friend of mine said it. He said, "What can you do today that will save you time tomorrow?" Seems simple, right?
Oh yeah.
You know how effective that is as sort of as a way to be in life. That means anything that has a repetitive process, I want a system for it.
Yeah.
I'm going to make the investments today and spend the time building the system today to save me time tomorrow. Anything repetitive, put a system to it. It really helps me organize my life, be efficient, so I can really start being where I want to be, where I'm most valuable, instead of in the minutia of hell I hate.
Yeah.
Systematize all that. And I think death's another bridge to like a faster action towards a system.
Yeah.
Because we all say we need systems and want them, but we never put them in place to be habitual and religious about something that is going to get us what we want out of life.
That's a great point.
Wow.
I mean, even if you gave 5 minminutes a day, because you systematize something, it just starts adding up.
Game changer.
And, yeah.
I've used this before. I think it's funny. If a woman shaves her legs, like just say every other day or every day, I don't know, I shave it every day, and it takes you 15 minutes in the shower to shave your legs every day, and you're a woman, and you're blonde. I don't know why it matters what hair you have. If you're a blonde chick, I was thinking like blondes maybe they have easier hair to kill.
Yeah.
So here's my point. We're going some here with this, okay? So you're a blonde and you shave your legs every day and you've now become a student of Eric Rocks, and he now hammers you. I want you to look at your life and I want you to say, what can I do today or what can I invest in today that will save me time tomorrow? And we're going to start doing your whole life this way. This is what you get when you work with the kid, all right? And you say, well, shit, I shave my legs for 15 minutes a day. Well, let's start adding that up. How much is that in a week? How much is that in a month? How much is that in a year? How much is that in a lifetime?
Yeah.
If you live to be this many years old. And you say, okay, so what if you went and got laser hair removal on your legs and you had to go through 6 sessions? They're spaced out by about a month. It's about $1,000, $800 per session. So you got an upfront investment.
Yeah.
You're going to have to give a little time before you really kill all the cycles of the hair follicle. Yeah. But all of a sudden on month 7, you literally only have to maybe touch up, shave your legs like once a month, and you have beautiful, smooth, sexy legs, right? Yeah. Now you have a lifetime ahead of you of not having those 15 minutes. Like, what would you do with that 15-minute back every time? That sounds dumb to a lot of people, but the ease of now that showered process, that extra little step out of it. What if you could do that with like 10 things in your life every day?
Exactly.
Do you know how much time you can get back? And I learned this really from Dan Martell. He wrote a book called Buy Your Time Back. You met Dan.
Oh, yes.
And Dan's really smart. I mean, he's a systems guy. He's a CEO of a tech CEO. He's a startup guy. That's his whole thing. And but the truth is it's when you have the time back, what are you going to do with it?
Yeah.
Once you buy your time back, and listen, he doesn't even make his own protein shakes.
Yeah.
He has a lady, his house manager, hand him his protein shake. Like her job is to hand him a protein shake.
Yeah.
His time's too valuable to get in the scoop. It might get his hand dirty. You know, he's got better things to do. I told my wife that the other day. I was like, we need someone to start making my shanks for me. She just gave me the dirtiest look. And she walked away. She didn't even say one word. I said, I'm dead serious, lady. I'm fucking dead serious.
I could just see Jeanette's face.
I need a house manager to make protein shakes for me. I don't want to get I got to go. I always got to go. Anyway, Randy, this is a fun conversation. If you guys don't know in the audience, me and Randy could rap back and forth all day. I could hammer him and I always go a little harder and he can come back and we could do this literally. We've done, how many years we've been doing this?
Oh, good Lord, 15.
We've traveled the world.
Yep.
You know what I mean? First class. We do it like that all the time.
We do.
I got pictures of me and him in funny situations. I got pictures of me and him in like matching silk pajamas. We got it all. We got it all going on. We got some fun nights, and man, I'll tell you what. Randy, thank you for doing this podcast, man.
No, thank you.
We got to do it again.
You got me out of my comfort zone, and I'm so happy that I'm trying to step into the light.
How do you feel?
I feel much better than I thought I would.
Easy, right? Yeah, listen, impact, however you make it, just make it part of your business plan. You've already been doing that. The next evolution of whatever you're going to do, as long as impact is sort of the guiding force, I'll support you. I'll help you. I'll do whatever you need. But like for the listener out here, make impact part of your business plan. Make philanthropy part of your give back plan. Build it into your business and do it with heart and conviction. And at the end of the day, I think that gives people and businesses and brands, I'm big on brand, especially now, but that gives you a lot of substance, and it'll overwhelm the negative senses that come into the equation, the doubt, that voice in your head that's the negative voice that's trying to sabotage you at every turn. When you have purpose and mission, man on a mission, and meaning behind even the dumbest things, nobody can derail you that easy. It's much harder to derail me when I believe in what I'm doing. And that's why this is so important. This conversation is amazing.
Yeah. Thank you for pushing me outside my comfort zone.
Let's go, baby. I love you,
All
man. All right. Well, if you like this episode and you want to work with Randy, I'm selling you, buddy.
Yeah, I know.
If you like this episode, please like, share, follow. Send it to people you care about. Send it to someone that this could help. We covered a lot of angles here, and this is from someone that literally is a rock star. You have no idea what a powerhouse person we're sitting in front of right here. But if you do want to get connected to this, you want to get connected to Randy, DM us on the show. We'll make sure we put some connecting information here too, Randy. I'll probably put a link just to make sure we can connect to you. And we'll make sure we know where to follow him. So we're giving him a new handle, because right now it's RLDL. OAKS.
Yeah.
We're redoing his whole landing page right now and his social media. So we'll change that handle, but by the time this show comes out, we'll put it in the show notes.
Okay.
Anyway, thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm a man on a mission.